I've never heard his name before. I think it's wonderful. I think that's the way it should work. The Academy managed to surprise us again, which is a good thing. The Academy likes to surprise. So my guess is almost as good as anyone else's, but I would guess a Norwegian writer. I think maybe Karl Ove Knausgård, the dramatist John Fosse, or the slightly more unknown novel writer Dag Solstad. I think it will go to a man, I think it will go to a novelist, because last year it was a woman and it was a poet.
And what is your preference, if I am allowed to ask?
If I would give away the prize myself, there are four actually women I would like to give the prize immediately. I would like to give the prize to the South Korean writer Han Kang. And now there's a Russian poet called Olga Sedakova. She's fantastic. She's not well known, but she writes the kind of poetry you learn by heart. The American writer, actually, I think maybe America has got enough Nobel Prizes, but women hasn't. And this is a novelist I love very much, Marilynne Robinson. I think Vietnam, where Madam Ambassador and I lived for 3 years, has a fantastic writer called Zoong Tu Huong, which would be a worthy winner. So that's 4. Nominations are made externally. They are made by other academies. They are made by literature professors. They are made by earlier winners. Every pen club, every pen center in every country has the right to nominate. And also the Swedish Academy members themselves can nominate. And then you have something between 100 and 200 nominees. That's the long list. You have to filter that list into a reasonable list, something between 20 or 30 names, which you can start to work with. And then in a second process, you filter that down to a short list on 5, 6 names, and that's the one you're supposed that everyone reads everything by. You're supposed to know everything about them, their shoe sizes, their preferred foods, everything. And that's where the final selection is made. I don't think there's so much difference, because of course it's a literary prize. It's the finest literary prize in the world, the most renowned, the one that everyone knows about, the only literary prize that I get to be on television talking about. I mean, that's the only literary prize that's world news every year. That's the importance of it. But with that comes a responsibility to look outside of Europe, to look not only at the languages that are familiar, but also at the languages that are not so familiar, to try to broaden. And that's, is that geopolitics? No, I don't think so. That's interest. That's genuine interest in what is written in the world today, not just in my neighborhood. I resigned as a protest, not so much against Handke as a writer. He's a great writer, he's a problematic person, but a lot of Nobel Prize winners has been. They've had some obnoxious views, a lot of them. I don't share his opinions, but there are very few people's opinions I do share. But I protested against the way the process was done. I didn't think it was transparent, I didn't think it was open. And I also resigned because it wasn't formulated in a correct way. You can't give the prize to a person like Handke and not say anything about his statements. You must take that in account. You must say, we give the prize to him because this and that, because, in spite of what he has said, or because it's something. You have to take that in account, but they didn't. It was just complete silence. And I didn't, that wasn't what I couldn't accept being a part of that, because you can do a lot of things with terrible opinions. But you can't just pretend they don't exist, because that's where you give evil room to grow larger, when you just look the other way. And I think that's what the Academy did, and they tried to make me a part of that, and I thought that was shameful, so I resigned. He's a great, truly great writer. He's written some of the true masterpieces of the 20th century. Absolutely. Chronicle in Stone, The Palace of Dreams, and 5, 6, 7 other works that are absolute genius. Also, I admire him so much, the way he sort of he danced with oppression, a very, very strange dance, where he managed to survive. And also saying those things, writing those books, publishing those books. It was like it was him and the dictatorship in a very pas de deux. It was very, I mean, it must have been, it was very courageous, and it was very clever, and it was very dangerous, what he did. And I admire him enormously for that. That being said, this was a long time ago. And I know from experience that the committee and the Academy want to reward writers that are in the process of writing, that will continue to write for some time, and I'm not so sure if that's the case here. So I think, to my mind, the perfect time, I think the Academy lost the chance to reward him and the Albanian language for the first time. In the early 90s, I think that would have been the perfect time to give him the prize. Maybe shared with Peter Handke, who was a truly important writer then, and wrote his best pieces in the 70s and 80s. After that, he's become stranger and stranger. Oh yes, most definitely. Most definitely. But I think, in all honesty, Albania has to produce a new writer like him in order to have a chance to get the Nobel Prize. But I think he should have gotten it like 40 years ago, 30 years ago. The Albanian writer, the Albanian language writer, I would have liked to give the Nobel Prize. I mean, but even earlier than Kadare, Laskus Poradesi, yes. In my mind, he's so great.